All right, man, peace. So, brothers, I caught a very interesting mini segment on the nightly news, and it inspired me to ask myself the question of whether or not I wanted to start a new series on quote-unquote sexual objectification, which is a topic that I've touched on numerous times on this channel, pretty much in passing. But the reason why it's relevant is because we have to understand what the source of actual sexual objectification is. If we were to listen to the mainstream liberal media and take them seriously, or really hearken unto the complaints of many of these modern day miserable liberal females, we would probably actually ponder on whether or not men are the source of the sexual objectification of the woman. But for those of us who pay attention, we understand that the concept of sexual objectification is a hot potato concept that's passed between men and women based on the understanding that for the most part, the main source of attraction for the man of the woman is sex. The woman understands that. So the reason why that concept is something that's always in the forefront of their mind is because that is a power play. The woman wants to use her sexuality to empower herself, meaning what? She can use it to manipulate men, thereby accruing power to herself. They don't mind being objectified sexually at all. As a matter of fact, it's a huge ego boost for them. They just don't want a man to dictate the terms of engagement when it comes to sexual objectification or the interplay involving sex between men and women. I've always stated this. Before the feminist movement, when men pretty much controlled the overall tenor of society and prescribed to the woman how she should dress for decency, the woman was for the most part covered. She dressed respectfully. It was after the feminist movement where we started to see more revealing clothes and the woman walking around with half her breasts out, tight jeans, tight pants, etc. And why is that? Because once again, the woman understands that her only real source of power in a structured society is through getting men to be interested in her based on her sexuality or the potential that he can have intercourse with her. That's how the woman injects herself into mainstream society. And from there, maybe she can utilize certain machinations to work her way towards the top of some form of hierarchy. I say all that to say this. Brothers should not concern themselves with notions from the mainstream media or so-called feminist women that men objectify women. No group objectifies women more than women. The woman leads with her sexual aspect because she knows deep down that that is what she brings to the table when it comes to allure. And then she hopes that from there she can use some of her other components or some of her other attributes that she believes that she has to get to where she wants to get in society. But in the meantime, it causes a great deal of consternation amongst those who have to be subjected to the woman trying to push sex all the time. The woman pushes sex much more than men do. I'm going to say it again. The woman pushes sex and sex energy much more than men do. And we see that all the way from antiquity with the sex goddesses Aphrodite and Venus and Ishtar, etc. The woman has always promoted sex and has very little to no understanding of decency. If the woman is not moderated, she will quickly resort to dressing as scantily clad as possible, especially if she believes that she has a body type that is going to be able to allure men. Very rarely do women dress decently. Very rarely. And that brings us to this story right here. And by no means am I co-signing what occurred to this woman right here. But it's an offshoot of the notion that I should be able to lead with my sexual energy and not expect any negative repercussions. So let's see what happens here.
Caught on camera, a shocking sexual assault in Brooklyn. The victim tells police that she was walking on the corner of Livonia and Rockaway Avenues in the Brownsville section on the morning of March 10th when a man she didn't know started to grope and hit her.
What the man was doing was he was spanking her backside because she was walking down the street in a pair of skin-tight jeans to show off how fat her ass is. And once again, let me make this very clear. I'm not saying that if she was walking down the street with a long dress on that was not accentuating her curves that this would not have happened. But because she led with that emission of sexual energy, look at me, look at how fat my ass is. You have to understand that you're going to attract a certain type of element. That's how that goes. In your own home, if you don't take out the trash, You could attract roaches, you could attract other insects, you could attract mice, you could attract rats. We have to understand that based on the energy that we emit, that's going to be a heavy contributor to the type of energy that we attract, right? Once again, my videos are geared towards the so-called black man so that he understands what's going on around him. Females like this do not make good wife material females. And I'm not saying that, your woman has to dress looking like a ninja with all black on, fully covered, all loose clothing, things of that nature. I'm not saying that at all. But you have to understand that your woman is going to dress in a certain way to show respect for you. When all the woman wants to do is make sure that everyone knows how fat her ass is and how big her breasts are, she's going to create problems for herself and for you down the line. I've stated this in the past, and many people don't like it when I say it, but it is the truth. For the most part, the woman is just a child with breasts. She has to be put within a certain framework so that she understands why she can do certain things and why she cannot do certain things, or why she should not do certain things. These type of concepts have to be explained to the woman. Now, we're living in modern day Babylon, so it's governed by the energy of the whore of Babylon, the mother goddess archetype. So all these women embrace their whore altar. For the most part, they all do. If they're in between the ages of 14 and 44, and they have the body to do so, and even if they don't have the body to do so, they're going to dress like a prostitute or a pseudo prostitute. Someone who wants you to focus on their body, their curves, etc. And I used to know a brother back in the day, he used to call it sexual harassment. He would say it's sexual harassment how these females dress, because they're adorning themselves in a manner to make men look at them and get distracted. And you see it in the workplace, you see it out in the street, etc. And the modern woman will always respond with, or her refrain will always be, well, men should be able to control themselves. Well, women should be able to control themselves as well. If a new style of dress started amongst men where they were walking outside with no shirts on and the front part of their pants showing their private area, females would say, that's indecent. You're disrespecting me, you're disrespecting my child. And that would be correct. In the same way, the way in which most of these females dress today is extremely disrespectful, not even just to themselves, because most of them have no concept of self-disrespect. So I don't even really consider them when it comes to that understanding. But the way in which they dress disrespects everyone else in society, the men and the children, because they're setting a bad standard of attire for the young girls, and they're teaching young boys to view a whore archetype as the type of female that they should be trying to get with, have a child with, or settle down with. And that's a main contributor, or a heavy contributor, to why the so-called black man today has so many relationship problems. Because the females in his family, the older females in his family, are teaching him that this is the type of female that you should be looking for to start a family with. And it just creates confusion all over the place, especially in the so-called black community. Let me rewind this back just a little bit.
On camera, a shocking sexual assault in Brooklyn. The victim tells police that she was walking on the corner of Livonia and Rockaway Avenues.
Once again, by no means am I co-signing what this dude did. Obviously, he has a mental issue. The point being is this: everything has an energy. Everything. Everything that we do, how we speak, how we dress, it carries a vibration. This female, of course, she's too crude to grasp that because she's not been properly trained on what the manners of a woman are supposed to be. Once again, the females in this society are all trained to be whores. They just don't understand that. They call it being a liberated woman. But it's just to be a microcosm of the whore of Babylon. Intrinsically, men will never respect whores. So when the modern day woman states that men have no respect for them, it's because of the energy that you emit. Men will never truly respect whores. And that's why you have so many of these counter movements starting to pop up with the Ibmore and the MGTOW and all this other shit. Because these guys are getting so frustrated at the way in which these whores are being co-signed to do what they want to do. There's no order, there's no structure, there's no sense of accountability. Everyone's being enabled. So now all demographics are going into survival mode. The woman is going into angry mode, where she just sits at home and finger pops herself and drinks wine all night and claims that all men are trash. The males are going into survival mode. I don't need no woman. I'm red pill. I'm MGTOW. I'm Ibmore. Why is that? Because there's no structure from the top down. There's no accountability. The curves and the body shape of a woman are beautiful. They're wonderful. They should be preserved and saved for her husband or her man. But that takes me to the next point. This female here probably does not even have a man. So she spends all her time trying to wear as provocative a type of clothing as possible to attract as much attention as possible. And when you want attention, you're going to attract the wrong type of attention oftentimes. And once again, let me specify, am I saying that what occurred here is okay? Absolutely not. But we all have to consider the possible consequences and repercussions for how we choose to depict ourselves. If you live in a neighborhood that is gang related, you know that you cannot wear certain colors outside, even if you might like that color. That's how young boys and men are trained to think. Unfortunately, girls and women are trained to believe that they could do whatever they want.
In the Brownsville section on the morning of March 10th, when a man she didn't know started to grope and hit her. The 30-year-old woman fought back, hitting the suspect with
this fool out here trying to play the bongos on that ass.
with her umbrella until he finally ran off. She was not injured.
Very unfortunate. But brothers, once again, understand that the energy that you allow into your life is going to affect you. So that same fat ass that you're attracted to, please understand that most of these females who dress in that way have very low self-esteem. That means that what? They're very whimsical. They're very capricious. They're looking for attention from a myriad of sources. And many times they may have issues going back to their childhood where they may have been sexually molested or sexually assaulted, and they're over-sexualized. So just consider that. But anyway, peace.